Is it the end or for pretend? I can
Hello, this is Nampreet Kaur, and our school got the opportunity to meet young Guru and ask him a few questions. And some of you might not know who he is, but I bet you know some of the songs he has worked on, like
Involved with cream, you know exactly what this is about.
and
Aquarius in me told me opinions ain't truth. It's a
and lastly.
I've been put out.
And they will be briefly talking about the Roc Nation School.
A little bit about Roc Nation is, if you know the name, the brand, or you know Jay-Z, it's so much more than what you might think. They have a label, they have a management wing, they have sports management, they have music publishing, music distribution, and then an entire venture capital wing in which they invest in tons of incredible organizations. Some artists that are represented or managed by Roc Nation: Jay-Z, of course, Key Wayne, Rihanna, Alicia Keys, DJ Khaled, Megan Thee Stallion. The list goes on and on. Nation School, we have 5 undergraduate majors, again, spanning the entertainment industry. So we have applied music, which is a Bachelor of Arts. We have vocal performance, which is a Bachelor of Music and is our only program that does require an audition. And then we have music technology, entrepreneurship, and production on the music side, which is a BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts. Then on the sports side, we have sports communications and marketing. Sorry, I'm trying to get out of the way there, which is a Bachelor of Arts. Sports management, which is a Bachelor of Science. And then we're incredibly proud to have launched this past fall a Master of Science in Sports Management, which can be done online or in person.
So, like I said, I am the director of the MTech program. First of all, this is amazing. Like me walking in here and seeing this never existed when I was in high school. So, professionally, my whole life, I've been an engineer. When I went to school, there weren't even engineering schools. This was something that you had to learn by actually going to the studio and, like Tressa said, carrying coffee for people and emptying out trash, right? It wasn't even a real class for me to go to. But that was my passion. My passion was music and making music and developing music. Hip hop itself wasn't even fully developed when I wanted to do this. No one understood what I wanted to do. But to see this is amazing. So each one of these things really represents a whole studio. And for you guys to have it in high school, you really, really should take advantage of this. Again, when I started, I had to save up. I was a DJ. I started out DJing, and I would save up money, and I would buy little pieces of equipment, and I would learn how to put stuff together, and I would build speakers and shock myself a couple times and figure out that I didn't die, and I learned electronics that way because I couldn't afford to just go buy speakers or buy equipment. So that's what I did. Was I made a bunch of stuff. I went to Howard University in 1992. I was lucky enough to be around a bunch of dynamic people. This is when this guy by the name of Puff Daddy starts a company called Bad Boy. So a lot of my friends ended up working at that company, and I was around that whole industry when I was in school. Another friend of mine named Tracy Lee ends up signing a deal with Mark Pitts, who was Notorious B.I.G.'s manager. And that's sort of how we got into the music industry as a crew, and we signed a record deal. I was also lucky enough in 1996 to DJ for a girl named Nonchalant. You guys may or may not have heard of her. She had a song called 5 o'clock in the morning. It was a big song, but the whole point of that was in 96, we got on the Fuji tour. So I know you guys have heard of the Fugees in Laurel Hill. So we toured with them, and that was my introduction into the music business. And I took all of that money, and I came home, and I said, I want to go to engineering school. I want to learn how to do this. Well, there was no engineering school. So I went to a studio in Rockville, Maryland, and they started teaching me how to work everything in the studio. There were no computers in studios at that time. Everything was on tape, and everything was these big boards. And everything was, keyboards were, something you had to get every single different type of keyboard. It's not like plugins and things like it is now. And that spawned me really, really diving in and learning everything I could about music. And I kind of came into music backwards. When I was studying hip hop and how to make it and in its formation, I had no idea if the song was in key or not, any of those things. So then I went backwards and I started learning about music in order to make better hip hop music, and I started to piece everything together. So again, it's a really interesting thing for you guys to be able to have this in high school, and I would really, really, really love for you guys to take advantage of it, and then look at our school. That's what we do. We basically have designed a music school that sort of breaks from the traditional music school. A lot of your traditional music schools are still, and this is not to be down on them, but they're still in the, when we say traditional, they would go to school, you would learn jazz or orchestral or any of those things, but you guys live in a world that is moving extremely fast. We will teach you how to deal with streaming. We will teach you how to properly get paid from that. We will teach you to be able to look at the market, and when the market moves, you guys can move. That's the reason why we have all the classes that we have and the way we implement all those classes. Or even on our sports side, that we actually have esports. If I was to tell my mother when I was a kid that some kid is going to get a scholarship to go to school for playing a video game, she would never believe me, but that is now the case. And there's going to be not only be that, but there's going to be people who manage these people. So all of those different things are things that we think about, and we incorporate that into our school. I think that is what makes us, or separates us from the rest of the music schools that are out there. And also that you're learning for professionals that actually do it. Ninth Wonder and I still have a company. We have Rhapsody, we have Ruben Vincent, we have artists that are signed underneath of Roc Nation. We have people that actually work at Roc Nation to come speak to you. So this is not people teaching you who are just far removed or maybe had a hit 10 years ago. They're actually doing it right now. They're connected right now. And that, I think, is one of the biggest things that we offer you guys. So I don't know if there are more questions, you guys listen. No questions? How many people in here want to be producers? How many people want to be artists? Okay, most artists. How many people want to be managers? Nobody's thought about managing anybody? Okay. Anybody into sports? Sports, man? Sports at all? How many people just taking the class just for fun?
Do you guys want to pull up what you did yesterday and have some questions? They came up with a list of questions yesterday. They have questions. You can pull it up on your iPad or something. If you guys want to pick from that.
This is the time to ask questions, guys. Come on.
What led you to get into hip hop? What was that kind of clicking in your head?
What led me to get into hip hop? It didn't exist when I was born, so it was just culturally what was going on in my neighborhood, if that makes sense. Around 1983, it started to trickle down a little bit more through my cousins. My aunt lived in Weequay in Newark, New Jersey. I lived in Delaware. So like coming to visit my aunt, I would listen to the radio, and it was just like this different form of music. And then we started to get tapes from the parks that my older cousins would bring down to Delaware, and it was just something different, and it was fresh, and it was new. So it was something that I was just like, what is this? It's very interesting. And I just love the music. So I kind of developed as hip hop developed. So I don't think I ever got into it. I was just born in it. Like when it started, it was just something that I really loved. It was a community thing. There were all forms and facets of it. So there was graffiti, which was a visual part of it that I absolutely loved. And I loved trains when I came to New York. I still love the train. The music part was something that I was really good at. And the DJing part was something that was attractive to me. When I was probably 12 or 13, like maybe 14 years old, my father's best friend ran Park and Recreation. So he used to have these like midnight basketball games, and you would be in the projects and you would play out to the projects. So at 14 years old, I started DJing in the middle of the projects. And as a 14-year-old, it kind of gave me a position in my neighborhood. That was attractive. Like, we used to have a phrase called behind the rope, right? There used to be a rope in front of the table, and if you were behind the rope, it meant you were important. So at like 14, I was behind the rope. So that was like a huge thing for me. That's what kind of got me into it, I would say. But I developed it as it developed. Yeah.
Can you speak to what you touched on before about learning, I guess, essentially like music theory and like keys and stuff? and how it affected your process as
Oh, yeah.
an engineer?
Yeah, and so it's hugely important, right? So there were times when I first started, I was playing by ear, and I was trying to figure out, like I would listen to a song on the radio, and I would try to figure out how to play that song. So then when I started constructing records, I was listening to whatever the latest hip hop was, and I was trying to figure out how did they do that. There was no instruction manual, there was no guide, no one told me about sampling, no one said this comes from this and this. So there was this eternal search for wherever people got those records from. And as I was going through those records, my musical palette started to become huge because I would listen to a bunch of jazz records, funk records, gospel records, anywhere. Like samples would come from anywhere. And when you first start constructing records, you would say, okay, I want this to be the drums, and I want this to be the bass line, and I want this to be the main sample or key.
To people, especially young people who are trying to become.
Do it now, right? When I say do it now, a lot of times we have this idea that we have to train and wait till I graduate high school and then wait till I graduate college, and then I'm going to do the thing that I want to do. This is actually the best time to do it because you can make mistakes and it doesn't matter. You see what I mean? So you have all of these tools in front of you. Take advantage of them now. Put time into it now. Study it now. Make a song and upload it and go through that process of what that feels like, because all of that is available to you on your phone. So that by the time you get to where you've already had this experience. So that would have been the thing I would have told my younger self. Because I was always training like, okay, when I get out of school, I'm going to do it. And these things didn't exist. You have to remember, I'm 48 years old. When I first started, it was impossible to think, I'm going to make a song today. I have students who literally make a song in our studio, and I'll walk to the bathroom and come back and they've uploaded it. Like, that's the power that you guys have. And some of our students make playlists. It's really amazing to watch. When I was young, the whole idea was I'm going to create all these songs, and I'm going to run downtown Manhattan, and I'm going to find whoever's the A&R, and I'm going to beg them to put me on a label. That's what we had to go through in order to release music. We didn't have trucks. We didn't have planes. I couldn't duplicate it a million times. Really big on TikTok, and then the label goes and grabs them, obviously because they get millions and millions of views, but it's like, okay, now this person's just thrown on stage, right? I don't know if Ice Spice was like ready to go on stage.
Yes. She was not.
Right? We went to the music business. So even if you're an artist, when you go through our school, you'll know, okay, my manager's supposed to be doing this. This is how much I'm supposed to get. This person who's doing promotion is doing this. This is how much I'm supposed to get. This is how it works. So that you as the artist can then say, okay, I want a 5-minute meeting where I'm telling you I want this percentage, this is the bottom I will go, this is what I want, and then the manager goes and does that, but you still have an understanding of what is going on in the music business. That's the whole point of why you're taking all of these classes. Even our people that are artists, they still take my intro to music tech class. Why? Because I want you to know how to record yourself properly. Doesn't mean you're going to be an engineer for your life, but some people are. It also means if you want to be an engineer, you still should sit in and learn how to play an instrument. Why? It's just going to help you. We have all of this available to you. And it may not hurt for you to take a vocal class. Why? So that you can coach someone who's doing vocals and use the language that they use. Okay, this is our version of being well-rounded when you come to us. So that was a great question.
How did you know that this wasn't just a hobby, but that you wanted to base your career off of it?
It's a great question. I had a very distinct moment when I went to school because I had over 50 basketball scholarships, and I turned them all down to go to Howard University and to concentrate on music. So that was one. I made a conscious decision then that music was going to be the center of my life. Two, I think it really flipped for me when I went on the Fuji tour in '96, because it was huge. It's my first time ever needing a passport, my first time ever out of the country. It's kind of the first time that my bank account was like over $10,000. It was like, oh wow, this is a real job. This, like I can sustain myself just from that tour, I came home and I had a lot of money in my pocket. So it was just like, how do I continue this? How do I make this something that can last for the rest of my life? But I was already a DJ, so I was like, I'm not necessarily going to just live off of being a DJ. So I wanted something super secure. I had a child at 22 years old, so playtime was over. I needed to make money. Engineering was the thing that I loved to do. I love music, and I was a tech guy. Like, I was the guy that, like, if your bike broke in the neighborhood, you would come to me, I'll fix your bike. Back then, I'm dating myself, but like if your VCR broke, you definitely brought it to me and I would fix your VCR, you know, like sort of thing. Anything technical like that, I was just always into. So I just wanted to combine the two things, and that's how I basically knew that that's what my profession was going to be. My father used to say, it's an old axiom, but it was like, what would you do if you were just super rich? What would you wake up and do every day? If money wasn't an object, what would you fill your day with? And whatever that thing is, that is the job for you. That's the dream job. Figure out how to get paid from that thing. Like somebody might say, I just want to talk on the phone all day. Well, then you have to find a job where telemarketing is your thing if that's what you want to do. Whatever your passion is, figure out a way to get paid from that. And then that's what your eternal job will be. So I feel like I don't work every day. I get to wake up and I get to make music, and now I get to wake up and I get to instruct people on how to make music and affect a lot of people's lives. So after a certain point of, this is gonna sound so pretentious to you guys, right? But after a certain point of winning so many Grammys and all that other stuff, it doesn't impress me anymore. I have them. Now it's about imparting all that information onto a next generation because I love the music and I want to see it go on, and I want to train people of how to do it properly and not training them from a 10 or 15 years ago, because that music business is over and it's dead. We're in the music business now, which is what Roc Nation is about. Was that the bell for Clinton?
Mr. Tiros, you're the big administrator here.
we can take one more question.
But yeah, I'll give. I can give late passes if we run.
We'll take one more
over.
question.
Okay.
I don't want you guys to.
No worries.
How did you meet Jay-Z and how did you build that relationship?
That's a great question too.